Good morning, everyone. Tailor solutions for waste to treat and reuse wastewater from a small municipality located in Malaga, wastewater reuse, respectively. Since 2007, there is a Spanish royal decree acting as a legal framework for the reuse of treated wastewater in urban, agricultural, or recreational activities. The reuse in certain nature-based solutions is also considered in the framework. For instance, in Andalusia, our region, there are almost 700 cubic hectometers of wastewater treated annually, which represent a huge potential for reuse. This is even more relevant in coastal areas like Malaga, where wastewater is usually discharged to the sea after treatment, which means there is a net loss of potential resources. So what is BioAzul doing, and how does it contribute to achieving those strategic lines I mentioned before? BioAzul is an engineering and technological consultancy mainly focused on the development of eco-innovative and sustainable solutions for urban and industrial water management, especially treatment and reuse, while recovering resources applying circular economy principles. We offer tailored solutions for wastewater treatment and reuse based on technologies that result from the work carried out in research, development, and innovation projects. And one of the aspects that differentiates our level of competence is our capacity to design and adapt the technical solutions to each client's requirements, always providing the best solution for a specific problem. And this is one of our technical solutions, the rich water technology, which was developed in the frame of an European project. This technical solution was implemented to treat and reuse wastewater from a small municipality located in Malaga, and it consists of an integrated system of water treatment and irrigation module, which can provide 150 cubic meters of treated wastewater per day. We mainly have experience in the agricultural use of the effluent, irrigating subtropical crops in this project, but other uses could be considered, contributing to the implementation and maintenance of nature-based solutions like green areas, urban forests, or community gardens. This technical solution provides a high-quality effluent that meets regulatory standards as certified last year with the European Environmental Technology Verification. To conclude, I would like to highlight the importance of designing solutions considering the local context and needs. In this scenario, there is a strong market demand for subtropical products, but at the same time, the production is clearly limited by the lack of water for farmers to cultivate such crops. A common vision of all the actors involved is crucial and must include municipalities, irrigation communities and farmers, local action groups, private companies, and research organizations. In fact, the high commitment from these local actors has translated into the creation of an operational group as one of the initiatives from the European Innovation Partnership for Agriculture, in order to continue with this innovative solution. Rich Water was also selected by the Water Europe platform as a water-oriented living lab, acting as an instrument to bring research and innovation to the community and the agricultural sector, and therefore helping the local economy. All these efforts were recognized last year by the provincial government, and BioAzul and the Rich Water solution was awarded in the category of Best SME Contributing to Climate Change Adaptation in Malaga. And that is all from our side. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks for that, both. A really different perspective on the challenge of climate change and how you are working, particularly collaborating towards addressing them. Last, but by no means least, we have Jonathan Muller. Jonathan is an architect and managing director of Helix Pflanzensysteme, an urban greening specialist company based in Germany. Jonathan is one of the world's wonderful innovators, creating nature-based solutions for any urban location. He'll be presenting some of these innovative approaches to both designing and financing nature-based solutions. Over to you, Jonathan.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Müller from Helix Pflanzen in Germany. I'm very delighted to be speaking to you today on problem solving with green infrastructure, nature-based urban heat island mitigation ideas from Germany. I'm an architect and now the managing director of the company Helix Pflanzensysteme. We focus on planning and implementing functional nature-based solutions mostly in urban environments with a clear focus on vertical green walls and gardens. Our background is producing plants. I'm the 4th generation owner, and we've been producing millions of plants every year in 3 locations in Germany. The last 10 years, roughly, we've been focusing more as well on vertical greenery, on urban spaces, no matter if it's bigger structures like parking garages or small interventions on squares. We pretty much have a solution for all sorts of problems in the urban context. We do a lot of maintenance, planning, and taking care of plants. And just recently we've launched a green tram station or a bus station, as well as renting out mobile green installations to communities all over the place. The reason why I want to speak to you today is because, as an architect, I focus mostly on urban areas and what kind of stress is being caused to them. We all know that in a very gray and concrete city, there's, a lack of rainwater retention. There's poor air quality because of cars and other engines. There's a lack of cooling, shading, evaporation, and so on. And one solution for these issues that we're facing every day in urban areas is through nature-based solutions. And the European Commission defines nature-based solutions as solutions to societal changes that are inspired and supported by nature, which are cost-effective and provide environmental, social, and economic benefits to help build resilience. Our products are nature-based solutions, and in combination with gray infrastructure, there's a hybrid system that's called, or that we call green infrastructure, that improves resilience to climate impacts. So if we go back to this slide just now and look at what green can do to urban spaces, it will improve air quality because plants have the availability to do so. Because green spaces work as noise reductions, as they don't give back echo of sounds as easily as concrete spaces. And we all know that rainwater can be collected and be used and evaporated through green systems. So there's a lot of good things that can, work in improving urban areas. And that's kind of why I'm here today. I want to maybe inspire you to, solve problems through green infrastructure by telling you 3 stories that we've experienced to give you an inside look into our planning processes and how we go about in these kind of products. I do want to start with the Green Living Room in Ludwigsburg, Germany. A few years back, we were part of a EU-funded research program called TURAS, and the region of Stuttgart in South Germany, where we located as well, they set out a call saying, all right, we have 180 communities in our region. Is there anybody who wants to join this project where we can try and actually build a green wall to, figure out all these positive effects of nature-based solutions? Because the region of Stuttgart today is already having increasingly a lot of days of thermal stress, and it's been predicted that in 50 years or so, this number will keep on constantly rising. So we have to start right now to set an example of what green infrastructure can bring to cities. The city of Ludwigsburg said, all right, this sounds very interesting. We have this parking garage, so an underground parking space where we cannot plant any trees on top of. Is there any way you could use this rather tiny square to do this green intervention, this green nature-based solution? And with the help of an architect, Ferdinand Ludwig, we went about on designing sort of a green space, what we now call the green living room. And we always knew what kind of attributes this green living room should have. It should become a social meeting point for the people of Ludwigsburg. It should provide shading because it's a very hot square where nobody wants to spend time. And through shading, people can experience cooling. Obviously, it should be a habitat for animals and plants, and function as a water reservoir. After planning, we went on building. We have this product where we can pre-plant plants and then stack on top of each other, just like a Lego brick system. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's been 5 years being there, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. The city of Ludwigsburg even puts out these chairs in the summer every morning And at the end of the day, they always collect them in the green living room because that's where people want to sit. They don't want to sit on a hot square in summer. They want to sit in the green spaces, in the cool, shady areas. So this project has been a brilliant example of how to design with nature-based solutions. We've put around 7,000 plants into these walls and roofs, and all that, on top of this parking garage where you weren't able to build any trees. 140 square meters of green space has been brought back. And so, we kind of figured it's a brilliant story to bring about. And because the project was sort of coming to an end, the research project, and there was a bit of budget left to do some more with it. And because the idea was so good, we thought, how can we make this green living room in Ludwigsburg mobile, flexible, to bring to all the partner cities or partners so they can have the same positive experience from it as we did in the city of Ludwigsburg. And as weird as the idea sounds, we thought, okay, how can we put this on truck and ship it out to a place? We went back into designing. That's pretty much what happened 2016. We've come up with the mobile green living room. You could easily load it up on a truck and then ship it out to all sorts of places. And we've been doing that ever since. We've now built over 20 of these mobile green living rooms, and they are being rented out to cities so they can use them for any sort of events or just to promote sort of a climate adaptation change program or whatever they want to transport on it. It's very easy. It's a very easy tool for cities because you just set it up. You don't need to build something actually. And this is meant as a great starting point to have a conversation about green infrastructure in cities because people can experience it. And we have one client, the city of Esslingen, where they said, okay, this is brilliant. We want to try it out. We have this square in front of the train station that nobody uses because it's super hot. There's no shading. And, as you can see with those arrows, people sort of dug into the city through shaded spaces, but the square was completely empty. And once we put the mobile green living room there, I said, this is not it. It looks desperately alone there. Nobody still uses it. And so being an architect, I went back into sort of the planning process, thinking of, this should go get bigger in some way. And we thought of the picture of an oasis where, people have more space, green space to spend time. We designed more sitting, more plants. We even built those, where we got to build those 2 years ago, shipped it out to the city of Esslingen, where it's very easy to set up, very temporary. And that actually worked. A square where nobody wanted to spend time ended up being a square where whenever I went there, 20, 30 people were sitting on these benches and in the green spaces. So we designed in a very easy way because we figured, it's just about 5 different modules that you can combine in any sort of way. And we talked to our clients saying, okay, use these elements, and build your own oasis. It doesn't have to be something we design, but use this nature-based solutions for any sort of square because you know best what you need at that occasion. And that's what we do. We even send out little models. And obviously COVID kind of, stopped us for a bit because spaces where people meet weren't as popular in the last year. But that will change because climate change didn't stop because of COVID. And so people want to spend more time outdoors in green spaces. So we're excited where this will take us, in further steps. And the third, maybe inspiring story I want to tell you more focuses on living green walls. We had a customer in Reutlingen. They said, all right, we have this very busy street and we kind of want to shut a space in between 2 buildings as a noise barrier wall. So nobody behind is being affected by the noise that's coming from the street. And the country even set up a sort of a measuring station for air quality and noise and all sorts of stuff you can measure right in front of this horribly old structure that was meant to be as a kind of a walkway through a barrier wall. And so the city of Reutlingen, they tore it down. They gave us the idea, okay, what can we design in between those buildings that functions as a noise barrier wall, but will improve the quality of air and space through plants. We kind of figured out, okay, what kind of plants can we use at this occasion? Came up with a selection, translated the first sketches of the architect into a planning, green planning, and we have a system for vertical green walls, which you can then, just as you saw now in the plant in our nurseries. Let's let them grow there, and after 2 months, we took them out of our nurseries and brought them to site on these trolleys. You can see the plants are already established in those modules. And we built the wall in a very easy manner. We have full irrigation systems in it. And after roughly 2 months of growing, these were the images we had. And if you think back to what it looked like before and what it looks like now, it's a huge improvement. It's not as threatening anymore to walk through it. It's a lovely space where a water fountain was included as well. We put plants on both sides of these walls. And eventually this will improve the air quality on site, which is fantastic. So what I'm trying to pass on to you today is using green, you can achieve quite something in a very positive manner, because everybody likes green. And kind of to leave you with a few thoughts of mine on how to implement those nature-based solutions successfully, because we've been going through these kind of processes and stories that you've just heard quite a few times. Obviously, it's a lot of planning is involved. I'm an architect, so this is sort of what I do most of my day, planning all these systems, what kind of system will work in different sites. It needs a lot of conversations with clients, with local authorities, with people at site. Financing is definitely a big part of it, because nature-based solutions do still cost money, although the value that comes from it sometimes cannot even be matched. But sort of the most important point of implementing nature-based solutions are the people. You don't necessarily do it for anybody else than the people, and they should have an improvement from nature-based solutions or green infrastructure in their daily life. And so those 4 points is something I want to leave you with. Something we always work around, and is very inspiring to do so. So do feel free to get back to me if you have any further questions. I'm excited to be speaking to you on green infrastructure and what nature-based solutions can do for your city. So thanks for your attention.
Thanks for that, Jonathan. It's great to see how you're innovating with getting nature-based solutions, particularly into new spaces where typically it was more difficult to green. Thanks to all the speakers. I'm sure the audience would agree that you presented some really innovative, diverse and convincing approaches to using nature-based solutions to tackle a challenge on the scale of climate change adaptation. Now's the chance for the audience to respond and comment on what they've heard from the speakers. There weren't many questions, but we've had a very late flurry. One particularly concerned about this, whether mobile green living roofs can survive the speeds of German motorways. But I think I'll dive in on one topic that seems to be covered by a few people, and this relates to stewardship. So we heard from the video previously about the critical importance of the stewardship phase in relation to ensuring that nature-based solution technical performance is not just forgotten after installation. I was wondering whether the panel have any thoughts on how this stewardship phase is approached in your own context to ensure that the benefits from what you're doing continue to be appropriate after the delivery phase. So perhaps, because maybe this is most directly related to you, Jonathan, we could start with you and how Helix in particular focus on this stewardship phase of the things that you implement.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. It's a very crucial part of our work is maintenance, or what we call maintenance, but it goes along with stewardship. Obviously, plants need a lot of things to survive. It's water, it's air, it's light, it's nutrition, and it's nice to put flowers on walls, but it needs quite a bit of technical aspects to it, something behind the scenes how we support those plants in their living conditions. And so building a green wall or building green infrastructure is one thing. Taking care of it is the more important aspect of it, because we don't want to have besides the mobile green living room, maybe we don't want a temporary installation. We want to put plants on walls and into cities on a large scale for a longer period of time. So what we do is we have our experts, our plant experts. We have maintenance teams that go around taking care of these installations, and through the technical aspects of it, we support our plants with water and nutrition. But stewardship is definitely the main focus of our work.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Jonathan. Gillian, slightly different for you, but on the same topics. I was wondering how the open space strategy lends itself to this idea of stewardship, in addition to kind of planning nature-based solutions in open spaces.
Yeah, so part of the stuff that we're doing in Glasgow is figuring out what we've got. There's been a long tradition in most of the UK that you can get funding for the start of a project, for the delivery of the project, and then you cross your fingers and whistle and hope that you've got some funding, whether it's revenue funding, to keep that project going. There's a lot of talk about community engagement, about community empowerment in Scotland at the moment. But what we're not asking ourselves is, are our communities resilient enough? Have they got the right resources and tools to allow them to work with us collaboratively or co-produce with us? So we almost do an all or nothing. We'll look after it, or you look after it, and we haven't explored the bit in the middle where we could maybe work together with communities to see how we can do some long-term sustainable management of places. And the nature-based solution stuff means we can start to look at managing those places differently. So not constantly mowing them, for instance, or not constantly pruning something, or putting in difficult to manage stuff, I suppose, and using it for different things. So if we amend a park to make it a flood alleviation scheme, maybe the engineers who are managing the flooding will maintain the park rather than our parks operatives, and that would save us money